just everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I could have known would have kept me from the one I love today. One street over there's a life I could have known. Things aren't always time's gone by, I've traded.
Hey, good morning. You are tuned into 1100 WSGI. This is Lee Marie in for U-Turn Laverne on One Street Over. Today is Thursday, January 5th. Oh my goodness. Tomorrow is the 6th already. All right. Well, today is Thursday, and so we do have a business of the week today. And then, of course, in the second half of the hour, we are going to have the United Way. But first, is the sound down? Okay. Let's go ahead and start with the prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you right now in thanksgiving. Thank you for all of our blessings. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for your perfect will, your perfect timing, your wisdom, your discernment. Please take this show where you want it to go. We love you. We praise you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. All right. And I'm going to have you shut the door, okay? All right, we're just getting adjusted here. So I've been in for U-Turn Laverne all week, and tomorrow is Friday. So that means U-Turn Laverne will be back. And so I will be here during the second part because I do come in at 8 o'clock for Wild Doc. So be sure to listen tomorrow and welcome U-Turn Laverne back. Remember, you can always go on our WSGI Facebook page and put comments or questions, and we'll take a look at that during the show. Okay, we do. And if you're just listening on air, you can watch this show, of course, on the WSGI Facebook page. It is just WSGI, no other numbers with it. So you can do that as well, in case you're driving along in your car. So did I miss anything, Mr. Marketeer?
I don't believe so.
All right, let's go ahead and introduce my first guest, Sean Haney of Sean Haney Designs. Correct? Awesome.
That's correct.
I'm so glad you were able to make it in. You know, that just really worked out. I know everybody's schedules are still a little bit different because of the new year and everything. But what can we tell about your business?
All sorts of stuff.
All right, where do you want to start?
I click a mouse on a computer, make things look good. I've been designing for 15 years, pushing a little more than that. Primarily print design, branding, logo design. I did newspaper magazine layout for 15 years.
Oh.
12 years. And now I'm working in Nashville designing and trying to get more local.
Mm-hmm. Because you live in Springfield.
I live in Springfield, yep, right on 76. And I want to try to, my big, the thing I like doing the most is helping small businesses.
Oh, okay, great.
Whether it be a group that's set up at like the Friday night market, trying to make their booth feel like a little store to small businesses on the square, anywhere in Springfield, restaurants. I've already done some work in town for insurance company, different restaurants, different community groups, and events. It's all problem solving. So customer says, I have this I need to do. It's my job to make that come across, answer the who, what, where, why, and when through a visual image.
Well, and that's great that you live in Springfield, because I forget who it was, and maybe it was one of our guests, I can't remember, but they were talking about how there was this recent survey done and everything, and Springfield has like more businesses than White House and, a lot of the other surrounding cities that you would think would have, just as many.
There's a lot. Yeah, there is a lot.
There are a lot, especially small businesses. Yep. So, and I know that, what you do is in big demand. So I think this will be a real help, in the community. And plus you have such, great fresh ideas too, because I've seen some of your work.
That's my favorite part about Springfield is the more small businesses you have, the more community you have. Like you mentioned, White House and other surrounding areas, there's a lot of franchises and chains. Yeah, franchises are a lot of times owned by local individuals, but franchises will have corporate marketing plans they have to follow. So the small business budget is less normally, but they have the freedom to market to the way they want. Figure out who their client share is, who they want to aim at.
Which is so important, and a lot of people just don't even think about that. Like, oh, well, this is like a one size fits all. I'm just gonna do this. My brother's doing this, and it's like, wait a minute, who are you trying to target? Because sometimes you're shooting your arrows at the wrong target, right?
Correct.
Now, what made you first decide that this is what you wanted to do? Like, I mean, were you like 4 years old and like coloring and like when did you decide like this is what I want to do?
I out of high school I started out in construction.
Oh, okay.
I was working just general labor in upstate New York, and as a lot of us here can see from the last 2 weeks, it gets cold. And it gets even colder up there, and the snow and this and that. And the office is warmer.
Yeah.
It's much nicer to sit at a computer and click a mouse. But as far as the creativity part, I've always been, I guess, technically designing something. It's just always something I've done. A DIY kind of person. I build things, I design things, I come up with ways to fix things. It's always been a problem-solving thing, and through design, I can do that for more people.
Okay. So what is it that you enjoy the most in this field?
My favorite thing to do would be logo design or logo redesigns. There's a lot of places, especially when you get into small businesses, that did their initial logo when they got up and running, got going. But things can get dated after time. And in order to keep your business fresh, relevant, and current, sometimes you have to go and have a redesign done. It doesn't have to change much. I mean, if you look, for example, at if you look up the Apple logo, IBM logo, UPS logo, Nike, they've changed multiple times, but they haven't changed a lot. They just take whatever's currently trending in design, what looks fresh or futuristic or follows current trends. Right now, current trends would be modern rustic for our area. So you have to be able to design to make the product approachable to the wanted client base.
And then, so that's what you enjoy the most.
Yep.
But what do you think that is like something that people need more than anything out there? Like, what is the biggest need?
I think signage.
Okay.
Signage and deliverables. So having good quality business cards that they can hand out. Having signage in their store, their place of business. Tags on their items that all carry the brand through. I've gone places where they did do a new logo, but the old logo was on their website, the old logo was on their business cards. Maybe they had a sign with the new logo and something else with a new logo, and nothing is tied together. Brand identity is basically saying we take care of all of it, making sure it's all correct. And in order to have that good quality business look, you need to have everything match and line up across every platform you have. So if that's, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, online, your website, in print, in your store, on your tags of your product, wherever it may be, you need to have it all line up.
Okay. Yeah. And like you said, with signage, it's so important because I know even just thinking back as, I used to go to all the Friday night markets when they happen. I know they'll be starting back up in May.
It's exciting.
They are so much fun and so many great vendors. I
Yep.
mean, I cannot believe how many they get here. But, some of them I've noticed in shopping their booths that there's some things that they have that they're a great deal and like they won't have a price anywhere. And a lot of times if people don't see a price, they won't even ask. And so, or if like people have a deal, like sometimes I said, well, is there a deal when you buy 3? Like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And it's not there. So I think that sometimes, you just need a fresh person to shop your shop and to just walk in because, when you're there, you have blinders on because you've seen it so much, how much it is, how much the deals are, but you really need just a stranger to come in and,
Another set of eyes. Talk about the Friday night market. You've been there. A lot of people listening have been there. Take, for example, when you're walking down the pavement and you've got booths on either side of you. If you're the business and you place your sign in the back of your little 10 by 10 tent over your head so when people come in, they can see what you have, that's all well and great. But when you're walking down the road, the sidewalk or the street there between the booths, all you see is a front row of tents. So if you take and make a simple A-frame sign and put something out, which you do see some of, if you have bracketry made to go on the legs of your 10 by 10 that holds your sign out front, even as simple as here is what we have, here's what we do. We make cutting boards. We have baby clothes, whatever it may be, just so it can be visually jumping out. And then also when you have your signage, have your logo, have your branding, you want to be able to read it really small and you want to be able to read it from far away. So if you have a black background with red lettering, that's not going to be easy to read from far away because there's not enough contrast. At the same time, if your logo is a beautiful picture of a puppy paw print, but the wording below it, the name or your tagline is super small, when you reduce that down to use as your Facebook icon, your social media icon, you won't be able to read it. So you have to make the logo so it's modular, can be taken apart and identified. Nike, for example, again. How many times have you seen just the swoosh? You know what it is. Yes, I don't know of anybody, maybe Electrolux in Springfield being a large company that maybe the star. But other than that, Joe's shoe shop isn't going to have that recognition nationally. But if there's a same shoe that they use as an icon everywhere in town, it will become known.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I know that, going to the Friday night markets because there's so much competition, really. So I think that's a great point that you said, put it out in front. And I know that you had designed the TFA, banner on the front of theirs. And that looks so good because no matter where you are, and people would come to it because they would see right away. They didn't have to work. I mean, people when they're there, they don't want to have to work that hard. They want to have to, well, what exactly do they have here?
Well, it's the same idea as when you go to, excuse me, when you go to Kroger. If you don't know where something is, you look up and you can see the aisle signs. It's a dark background or a light background with the opposite color lettering. So you can see 3 aisles down there cereal. So you want to be able to look up and see what you're aiming at in the market, especially when you go to larger markets. You want to be able to see these things. And if you're walking down the block, it's nice. You'll see some storefronts have a sign that sticks out from the wall. Depends on what your town or city allows you to do. But if you can have something that can be read from front and from side, it makes it that much easier for people to find you.
Right.
How many times have you driven down somewhere trying to find something?
Oh, yeah.
And you can't see the sign until you're directly in front of it. And as you're driving by, you got to go down, turn around, come back.
Or you'll just go down a little bit further and go to someone else. That's usually what I would
Yep.
do. Anyways, all right. I can't believe it's already 7:15, so we're going to do a sponsor break right now, and then we will be back with 15 more minutes of Sean Haney of Sean Haney Designs. He is located right here in Springfield. He loves to work with small businesses, and so that's just real exciting to have him here in our county. So let's hear from you, Turn Laverne.
Are you getting ready to sit down at the real estate table, whether it's buying or selling? You need to make sure you have somebody on your team. I've got a couple of people to put on your team. Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Up in Cross Plains, they've been there for over 20 years. Dear friends of mine, I've known them a long time. Cannot recommend them highly enough. Rebecca, we always talk about how she's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist because that's saying she's staying up to date on what she needs to know to make sure you're properly represented, that she's got her marketing husband that was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years in Nashville. So he knows how to make sure your property is seen in the best light, to get the best price, to get the top price for some property that you may be ready to sell. You ready to come to the table? How about somebody that specializes in Robertson County properties but also buys and sells in the surrounding counties and across the state line up in Kentucky? You want to contact them? Call them 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or connect with them at sellwithbecky.com or buy BUYRobertsonCounty.com. Always tell them U-Turn sent you.
All
Cumberland
right, and again,
Connect
this
will
is
be
Lee
knocking on
Marie
your
filling
door.
in for U-Turn Laverne on 1 Street Over. And in studio, we have Sean Haney, who is a first-time guest here on WSGI, which is really exciting. I love that because you're actually the fifth new first-timer that we've had this week. So I think that's great because I know a lot of people watch this show and, we have a lot of regulars on and that's great because we need to hear from them. But it's also very exciting when we have a brand new person because they get to meet you. So I want to find out a little bit and have you tell people about your background, how you even ended up here in Springfield, because I know you weren't born here.
No, I was born in New Jersey, and my father ended up taking a job in upstate New York when I was, I think I was about 10 years old. Moved to New York. Beautiful state.
Parts of it.
Well, the whole state's pretty beautiful. Yeah, there's a little too much concrete down in New York City
Yeah.
for me. But as life went on, got older, got married, and then certain people took control of the state and led it down a path that my wife and I did not like.
Mm-hmm.
So we started looking for the way to get out. My wife's a nurse at the VA hospital.
Oh, nice.
So we took a transfer. She took a transfer I went with.
Mm-hmm.
And moved to Nashville. We stayed we rented a house in Kingston Springs for the first year just to get our bearings, figure out what we wanted to be, and we fell in love with the Springfield area.
Now how did you look all around Robertson County or were you in other counties, or how did you find Springfield?
Just based on, if you put crosshairs over Nashville, we knew we didn't want to be anywhere but the northwest quadrant.
Oh, okay.
It was still the most rural within drive time to Nashville.
Mm-hmm. And you were in a very rural part of New York, right?
Yeah, where I am now in Springfield is the city compared to where I was in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's real interesting because a lot of people just think New York. They think New York City, and they're like, oh, city guy. And you're like, no,
Well,
actually.
How far are we from Memphis right now?
We're
3.5 hours?
At least.
What
yeah.
about Chattanooga, 2.5? And Knoxville, 3.5, 4 hours? Where I was in New York State, I was 7.5 hours from New York City.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I have gotten tons of, where are you from? Oh, upstate New York. They're like,
Yeah.
I've gotten tons of the looks since I've been here.
Okay.
But when people realize that you can drive north and south across Tennessee multiple times before I would have reached New York City. It's very, very country, very woodsy. Our playground was the Adirondack Mountains.
Wow.
So we'd camp all the time, love the outdoors, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. We just wanted to get somewhere where morals, ethics, and values aligned with my wife and I more than what's happening in New York State.
Mm-hmm. And that's great because I know that there are a lot of people, myself too, I came from California. Same thing, we wanted to find where I mean, we absolutely love the Bible Belt. You know, there's so many great churches. There's just and the morals and the ethics, and you know, we're trying to not, you know, like a lot of people will say, oh, someone else is coming in from California or New York, and they'll say, don't bring your politics with you. Yep. And we're like, well, we're bringing our politics, but not California's politics or not New York's politics. Yep. We're coming to find a conservative place where we find our tribe. Yep. You know, and
absolutely.
So that's what and I love too. I mean, we just found this, you know, kind of by accident too, and everybody has been so warm and welcoming. You know, we got plugged in right away to the local GOP, and then that day that we went to that first meeting is when we met a bunch of people from the Tennessee Firearms Association, and they invited us to theirs, and we've never left. And now we have 50 close friends
never because look back.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a great town, but yeah, I do agree that. We come here because of how it is, and we don't want to change it. We're not here looking to make it cityfied. And I know some people that actually have come from somewhere else, and they are trying to cityfy it here, and we're not in favor of that. So
I want to keep the square the square. Mm-hmm. I want to keep the small town atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that people line up along Memorial for the parade. Mm-hmm. I drove my truck as the TFA parade float in the what was the parade, the summer one?
Probably 4th of July.
Yeah, drove it in that, and
or the fair. Maybe it was the fair, county fair.
Yeah. It was just nice seeing, waving to the kids, handing out flags, seeing everybody. There's that much care that people take time out of their day to go sit along the side of the road in the hot summer sun. To watch the parade. That didn't happen in New York. It didn't. Some of the small towns have better parades and this and that and better turnout, but everyone's just much nicer. There's more care for community overall here. It's just much nicer to be somewhere where you're welcomed, somewhere where if you get a flat tire, you probably get multiple people ask if you want help. And back to the design part, that's how I make a living. But at the same time, you can get somebody to fix your tire and just slap a tire on, throw it on, and all right, pay me, get out. Or you can get someone who's going to take the time and care and then pride in their work to, clean up the rim, make sure it's not going to leak, put a new valve stem in, maybe even just wipe off brake dust. Put it back on, take pride in their work, and give you a better end product because they care about what they do. So you take the fact that I care about what I do. I love designing, and I care about Springfield, Robertson County, and I care about the fact that I'm in a state that aligns with my values.
Awesome. Very cool. Now, if people are listening to you and they want to get a hold of you to get some quotes from you or see how you could help them, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
The best way would be email, SeanHaneyDesign@gmail.com. That's SEAN for Sean Haney Design.
Haney.
Haney. Yep. Phone number is 615-485-9872.
One more time.
615-485-9872.
Okay.
And find me online. It's SeanHaney.design.
Okay, SeanHaney.design.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Very cool. Well, we have about, we have about 6 minutes till our next guest is supposed to arrive, but if they're late, do you want to stay and hang out?
I've got to get to Nashville.
Oh, okay. All right, so we got 6 minutes left with Sean. So are there some things that maybe are some common questions people have? Because I know that when the TFA was getting that banner, made, I was really surprised at how affordable it was. Sometimes you think of these big, beautiful signs, it would be, a lot more. And so are there any things like that you'd like to tell people like, hey, you really should at least have this because, it's this much money or,
The biggest thing I would say, the way the economy is right now, that sign probably costs more now than it did, 6 months ago? But the biggest thing I would say when you're getting, with design, you get what you pay for. You follow the experience, the knowledge, and boy, I could do that on my computer. Well, you might be able to do it on your computer, but I've got years and years of experience. I can do it much faster. And when you're paying for a graphic designer, you pay sometimes by the job, but a lot of times for smaller stuff, you pay, by the hour for their design time. So it depends on how the designer works his rates, his or her rates. And you imagine you've got a print job you want to do, or you want to get a sign made, or you want to get door magnets for your truck, anything that can be printed, basically. I can design 10 by 10 tents to be printed for your Friday Night Market booth. You can have the whole top printed, the sides, walls, da-da-da-da-da. The biggest thing I would recommend is bite the bullet. You've heard buy once, cry once. Get quality. Make sure what you're getting is a good quality product, and it'll last you down the road. It'll last you. If you go to Walmart and buy the $60 10 by 10, you get one gust of wind, or a horse walks by and sneezes, your tent might be broken, and then you got to go buy another $60 one. So if over 3-4 years you're buying 3 or 4 $60 tents, you could have just bought the better heavy duty one.
Sure.
Same with signage. You get what you get with cheaper lightweight vinyl banner. Will tear more in the wind, and we get some wind down here occasionally.
Right. Yes, we do.
First time I heard the sirens, I was like, that can't be right. What is that? There wasn't anything bad, because we were at Walmart and it just went off in the middle of the day and it startled us. But yeah,
that's a good point. So newcomers out there, if you are you setting up a booth at the Friday night markets, you have to beware of the weather, because all of the sudden everything can go flying. And we've had that happen twice now, and where everybody runs and helps everybody lower their tent. You just get everything low, put rocks on your papers or whatever, to hold them down. But it can happen really fast.
Yep.
So you have to be ready for that.
But that would be my biggest thing is, and talk to me, talk to designer, talk to whoever it is. Small town businesses don't necessarily have to take cash. Corporate places, big design firms, they're going to want cash, this and that. They got to pay all their employees. But there's times the barter system works. If you need something done and you have a product that the designer or the other place might want, ask. What does it hurt?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I like barbecuing. If somebody says, hey, I need a logo, I'll trade you a pig or something. Let's talk. But at the same time, it doesn't always have to be a bunch of cash out of hand. It's based on design time, research time. A logo redesign, most of the time, is less than a logo from scratch, just based on the research you have to do. The tying together, well, we do this, but we also want to incorporate this, tying it all together. A redesign is like, hey, we want the same thing, same concepts, we just want it to look fresh and updated. You already know what you're working with. You're reinventing the wheel for that business.
That's a great point. All right, well, I know we only have a couple minutes left. Do you want to talk a little bit about your interests? Because I think that some of those businesses that are in some of those outdoorsy things, I think they would really enjoy, having you work with them, because you have so much experience with hunting and camping and all that. So tell them a little bit about what Sean Haney likes to do in his free time.
All right, basically barbecue, hunting, fishing, kayaking, working in the yard. We got chickens, we got a couple dogs, we got a yellow lab Rhodesian Ridgeback mix is Massey Ferguson. We've got a little hyper blue heeler mixed with Jack Russell. That's Banjo. My wife has a hedgehog named Quilly Nelson, and we got a cat named Shotgun Willie. We love being outdoors, working on food plots, But yeah, kayak fishing, kayak camping, we overland, we like off-roading.
Now, people that don't know overland, explain that for...
Overlanding is the new term for put all your stuff in your truck and go camping in the woods.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's bolt everything to the truck and go off-road as nasty trails as you can to get there. But literally, it's get outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
spend time outdoors, Mother Nature, see what the Lord made us,
Mm-hmm.
and sit by a fire. It's the best time you'll have, staring at the stars,
Mm-hmm.
talking to friends and family.
Well, that's awesome too that you ended with that, because we had on Joe Ballou on Monday, and then on Tuesday we had Clint and Barry, and all three of them were talking about get in nature.
Yeah.
There's no alternative to it that gives you that much peace and just
My wife asks how I can sit in a tree stand for hours and not make any sound. There's a bunch of sounds out there.
You're just listening.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I know you have to get to Nashville. It is 7:29. So I appreciate you coming out and telling us all about your design business. And hopefully, why don't you give your contact information one more time?
It's SeanHaney.design for the website. It's SeanHaneyDesign@gmail.com. And it's 615-485-9872. And have a question, reach out. You need to know anything? You want advice on something? Just give me a holler. We'll see if we can make it work within your budget, get your business working better for you, your brand working better for you, and go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for having me.
And you, I know, are involved with TFA, so that's this Monday, right?
That's this Monday, TFA meeting. Robertson County GOP is this Saturday. Yep, got a lot of stuff going on here.
All right. Yeah, the GOP is Saturday at 8:30 a.m. at Purpose Life Church. TFA is 6 p.m. at the American Legion in Greenbrier. So Sean will be at both of those events, so you can definitely plan on talking to him there for a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
And definitely networking opportunities at both of those events. All right. Well, great. Thanks so much. We'll see you in Springfield. All right. And I did see my next guests come in. So while they're coming in, I'm going to play another one of our sponsors so you can hear from U-Turn Laverne.
Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Store. Now is a great time to stop by and ask your questions about the garden you grew, or the garden you want to grow, or the plans that you have for your yard. Should I plant this over in that corner? Is there too much shade, too much sun? All of the questions that you have, you can get them answered at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Store. Amy is there to help you out, whether it be a question about gardening, or maybe you've got questions about CBD products. They have locally produced CBD products. The salves they sell, actually she and Miss Jane make them right there in the house. Everything's produced from plants her brother Bill grows, so it's Robertson County CBD. CBD has helped me tremendously with my arthritis. It may be a game changer for you from arthritis, maybe sleep issues. No matter what your questions, what you need, go by and see them at Corbin Creek, 4920 Highway 161. You can give them a call, 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their hours as they change with the season and for all the things going on at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Store. Tell them U-Turn sent you.
All right. That was U-Turn Laverne, and she will be back in studio tomorrow for Faith Friday. And so y'all have been putting up with me all week. I have to say, this is a record amount of, a record amount of shows for me. I actually will have done, after Friday, after tomorrow, I will have done 6 shows this week. So because I did 4 for Laverne, and then, of course, Wednesday's my Go Show at 8 a.m., and then Friday we're having a special edition Go Show with the Wild Doc. So this is a record for me.
Busy.
I have survived.
Wow, here. Okay.
All right, so in the studio, as we always do on Thursdays during the second half of our show, is Brian Pulley and Tiffany Thomson from United Way. How y'all doing?
Good. Happy New Year to you.
That's right. Happy New
Yeah.
Year. Your first show of the new year.
I know. Trying to get back in the groove here. We were just talking after the break and get back going. So,
Setting the alarm again.
Yes. yes. It's been good. So.
Well, I've been watching, on Facebook for events, and it seemed like, a lot of people were off for the holidays. So,
Yes.
so when does everything start back up?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. There are things that didn't go off during the holidays, which
Okay.
is especially like my father's house cold weather shelter. There was a lot of need during the holidays. Several nights where they had to put people up in the Springfield Inn because they didn't have enough chaperones and stuff. So if anybody wants to volunteer while they're sleeping, being a chaperone at my father's house is a great way to be able to give back a little bit. It's hard for those of us with little kids at home and stuff, but those who, might be empty nesters looking for a place to plug in, that's a great place. I brought my family to the cold weather shelter quite a bit. Great. The people that are there are great. They're, just grateful, most gracious people ever. We brought them food a few times and done devotional with them, and it's been great. And so, anyway, it's just a great way to, how many times can I say great in like one sentence? Anyway, but it's a good way to plug into your community. Am I doing great things? So anyway, it's a wonderful way to plug into the community, even while you sleep. And that's actually probably one of their biggest needs right now, is having chaperones to just spend the night there.
So what does that look like? What time do they need to be there?
I think they ask the chaperones to be there around 7:00, and then that's a good question. And then they leave.
Curious,
they close the shelter at 7:00 in the morning.
Oh,
okay. So, you need to. That's when you're done. So you can get on your way, get to work, whatever.
Okay, so basically 7 to 7 is the commitment that they'll be looking for.
Yeah, and don't quote me on the 7 to get there. I do know they close the shelter at 7 in the morning.
Okay.
They open at 5, but they have people to check people in. So if you're an overnight chaperone, you don't need to be there right at 5.
Okay.
And then they have people bring in dinner, do a devotional. So those are some of the other ways that you can plug in. Like me, we do dinner, or you can also bring breakfast for the next morning. We do that quite a bit because of little kids. Spending the night's not an easy thing for us to do. So we do that quite a bit. So there's lots of ways to plug in, and they need everybody. This is definitely one of those, many hands make light work type of situation. If everybody could just do one thing, we could really be able to provide the service for our community. And it's been cold.
Yes.
I cannot imagine being out on the streets right now. So.
Well, and what happened last night? Okay, I went to bed, and I think that when I pulled in after church, it was like in the 60s. And then I wake up and it's 30. I wasn't planning on having to scrape ice,
right?
But I had to. And of course, the scraper was in my husband's truck that was locked, and it was frozen locked. I couldn't get into it. So I barely got here on time because I was not expecting that drop.
I would have a little broom and dustpan in my car, and I used the dustpan to scrape the window this morning. I was like, I wasn't planning on it either.
Maybe we should have a show on all that. Like, what is the weirdest thing you've used to scrape your window?
One.
Okay.
My mom used to use a Billy Joel Live on 46th Street 8-track.
Well, there you go.
When I was a kid, and she kept it in the glove box, and that's what we used on her green Concorde, Chevy Concorde. I'd have to get out and scrape off just so we could see to get out of the driveway.
See, y'all that have been holding on to those 8-tracks, they
serve a purpose. And you know what? It still played. It would still play. Those things are indestructible.
And we would use a lot of times growing up a cassette player, like
the box.
A cassette box.
Okay, I can see that.
It's called a case.
Case, that's what it's called. Yeah, thank you. Or a credit card. Credit card works great.
Credit card works great.
Yeah, I've done that quite a bit.
Before we had these fancy defrost, and you could start your car from your living room and all this stuff. Like you actually had to get out. And
our kids will never know.
They'll never know the pain. No, but that's Tennessee weather. That's where you're at. 60 one day, it'll be 30 the next. So we'll see.
Well, I love those frost shields, and I usually will put that on my window. So when I get off, get out in the morning, I whip it off, and there goes the frost. So I'm a big fan of those. But it wasn't even on my radar last night because I didn't even have a coat on when I got home. I'm like, this is fabulous spring weather.
Yeah, it was a little chilly this morning, for sure. So it is January.
It is. I know. And I wouldn't want to be sleeping on the streets for sure.
No. So we were talking a little bit about my father's house. Our church has kind of some of the life groups that we have, our small groups that volunteer too. That's a great way. Even the chaperones, obviously the biggest need they have, but like Tiffany was saying with the devotions or bringing a meal or just spending some time, there's many ways to volunteer. And it's such a need right now, and that's such a vital service that they're providing for the community, particularly what we were talking about with the weather we dealt with during the holidays. We're talking about -3 temperatures. I mean, that's really like life-threatening stuff if you're outside. So if you have a night, if you can just do or just come by and just visit. I know all of it is appreciated, but I know, like for us, the sleeping over is hard to do, but there are other ways to get involved. So,
And so you said some of your small groups will do that as a project?
yeah, whether they're just going by and bringing a meal or doing a devotional, like she said, and just spending some time and talking with these folks as well. I mean, the company is appreciated a lot of times also. I mean,
Just encouragement.
yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
new to come in and
Yeah.
just be like, hey, you got this. This
yeah,
is, you know, like,
yeah.
All
So
right,
you never
so-
know what kind of connections are going to be made too that may help some people. And there's various ways. But if you're interested, reach out. It's a great volunteer opportunity. that
And
is
it
so
only goes
needed.
until what month?
This is
March,
March,
usually.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
So it's a
they're-
pretty
they're-
short
Now that they
window.
have a new facility, they're wanting to expand a little bit, but not, like in the middle of the heat in the summer, they would like to be able to open up for that. But the only way that they can open up, because they're 100% volunteer ran, is volunteers.
And now
so-
it used to be like at different churches. So now it's one particular building.
Yes, yeah, it's
where is
behind
that?
Southside Drugs. It was the Honeybee building. They converted part of that building into the cold weather shelter. And
Is that
so
still the Honeybee though?
They do have like one part of it. I think that at least the people who own it, keep to themselves. But then the rest of it is the shelter. And I guess that building used to be an old firehouse back in the day. So it already had like showers and stuff like that. And anyways, it's pretty amazing building. We've also I got some people from church together to bring in a meal and do a devotional. And we Christmas Eve I woke up and I was like, I wonder if they've got people to feed them tonight. And whoever had signed up got snowed in. And so I like messaged them. I'm like, do you really not have any like a meal tonight on Christmas Eve? And they're like, well, they told me the situation. They're like, we got stuff in the freezer. It will be fine. I'm like, we're not feeding them food out of the freezer for Christmas Eve. And so we took like our family Christmas Eve traditions and took it over and read Luke 2 with them and, sang Christmas carols.
Yeah.
And,
Very nice. How many
So-
people were there that night on Christmas Eve?
I think there were about 10.
Okay.
So
Is that pretty average?
that is pretty average.
Okay. Just, for those that are thinking about doing the meal thing, it'd be good to know about how many we're talking.
Yeah, and I always like to try to get a count from them because it can really fluctuate, especially depending on weather. But not like you're not making a meal for 50 people ever. It's usually 10 to 15. The first time I brought in food, I think there were like 4 people, but that was right at the beginning of the season, and so anyway. But yeah, it's a great way to, and it really is like it. Something that seems so little to us is really a big service, and so. I don't know. It's been really fun to be involved with that. And I just want to encourage everybody else. I mean, I would love to do it every night because I get so much from it, but spread the wealth. Let some other
And so
people
it's
know about it.
only open when the temperature is a certain...
No,
Oh,
Not
what?
during
No?
during this time.
Not
of
this
the-
time?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's
like
open
they
every
try
night.
to keep it open every day
Oh,
during
okay.
the winter.
they used to be when they first opened. It was below 40. I think was their cut mark, and now they've expanded it, and it's every
Okay.
night.
Okay. No wonder they definitely need
Yeah.
more volunteers.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think with the need in the community really is to expand it to like a full-time situation. We would love to be able to have that resource to have, in our community a full-time homeless shelter. I mean, it's such a need, and a lot of these people are just down on their luck. A lot of them even have some type of income. But while I was talking to one woman, she was living in a house that she had lived in for like 5 years. It was like a house they kind of split up to be 4-plex. And she had lived there long term, and the owner just said, I really want to turn this back into a single family home, and asked everybody, ended everybody's lease, and she hasn't been able to find a place. And so, and it's not that she doesn't have income. It's not that she doesn't have a good rental history. It's that she really cannot find a place to live. And so she was living in her car until it just got too cold to do that. And so anyway, we have a lot of stigmatism around homelessness. And once you go there and get to know the people, you'll see a lot of the times that those things that we make up in our mind about why people are homeless aren't really true.
And that it could be from a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. And yeah, everybody's got their own story for sure.
All right. Well, we do need to do a commercial break right now. And then we come back, we'll find out what else is coming up. All right. Let's hear from Laverne.
Cumberland Connect will be knocking on your door. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, and if you sign up, I've already signed up. I cannot wait to have high-speed internet in my home. I'm like a lot of you. I live rural, and I have had terrible internet. Some people have not even had internet internet. And if you are wanting access, well, good news, you've got it now through Cumberland Electric. It is so exciting. And one of the most exciting things, I just found out a few weeks ago, Cumberland Connect, they're going to make sure everybody has access. If you're somebody that financially says, I just can't even pay for the base package, you may be eligible for free internet, or at least a very discounted rate where we can get your family connected. If you think you might be financially eligible, call them 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or go to cumberlandconnect.org, and let them know your situation. And put your zip code in. See when they're going to be knocking on your door like they are mine. I'll keep you up to date. I'm very excited about high-speed internet. How about a gig for $80? Great pricing, great access. Come into your neighborhood. Contact them today. Cumberland Connect, cumberlandconnect.org. Tell them U-Turn sent you.
Hey, thank you, Laverne. And we're going to be so happy that she comes back tomorrow. But if you missed any of these shows, remember, you can always go on the WSGI Facebook page. It's just WSGI, no other numbers or words. And you can watch all of the shows that we had this week. And then tomorrow, of course, Laverne will be back for Faith Friday. And then I will be back at 8 o'clock for the Wild Doc, who is having amazing results right now. Mark and Laverne are going. Shannon and John are going. So many people here in Robertson County are actually going to a Wild Doc now. So don't miss out on hearing some of his advice for the new year. All right, so we are in studio with Brian Pulley and Tiffany Thomson from the United Way. What else do we need to cover, guys?
Let's circle back real quick. If somebody does want to get involved with My Father's House and volunteer, what's the best way to contact, or like what's to get plugged in?
That is a really good question.
Could they contact you?
You can contact me, and
Okay,
I'll help you get
yeah.
plugged in for sure. My number is 615-780-2511. Again, that's 615-780-2511. Or you can stop by the United Way office. I'm often out, and Brian and I are often out, doing our work outside the office. So we don't keep certain hours, but if the light's on, come on, stop by.
Right.
Happy to have you come in. So.
And if you do come by, leave a note. A lot of times, like the foyer will be open. Leave a note on the door. We'll get back with you. It's just like I said, it's only two people generally in the office, and between meetings and a lot of our stuff is in person again now, which is fantastic. And so we're kind of running around. But yeah, if you do come by and need something, leave us a note. We'll get back with you.
Absolutely.
Good to know.
So, and again, it's even a good way to get your Tennessee Promise hours in with that, or I have a million places to plug in if you want your Tennessee Promise hours. So if you're looking for your kids or whatever, let me know. But anyway, another thing we got, usually United Way, we're helping recruit volunteers for other organizations. It's kind of our position is to, support the other nonprofits, but we actually are looking for another volunteer. Every couple of years, we go through a very strategic process on how we allocate the funds that we raise for nonprofits. We want to make sure that the nonprofits are using them appropriately, that they have impact, that they have a plan for the money, and not just like, oh yeah, give me money and, we'll go on a cruise to the Bahamas or, whatever. We want to make sure that those dollars that are given to United Way are kind of a sacred fund. They're made out of sacrifice. We want to make sure that they're used properly. And so anyway, we go through a process, and it's a very tedious process. And so one of the things that we do is we go through and read everybody's application for funding, and then we go and we visit, and then we make decisions on how the amount of money that we have to give back to the community where it's going to make the most impact. And so it's a different kind of volunteer than going and being able to bring food and, paint a house or whatever. It's a very much of a mental, volunteer position where you're having to really analyze and make hard decisions. And so, anyway, we're looking for another volunteer to help us go through that process. It's about a 20-hour commitment from January to March. There's volunteer training, and then going through the applications, having a few meetings where we get together, and then going and actually getting to see some of these nonprofits and seeing what they do and hearing from their mouth what impact they have in the community, and then getting back together and making those decisions. So that's kind of the process. And if anybody's interested in volunteering with us, please let me know. Again, my number is 615-780-2511. And we'd be happy to have you join the team and kind of see where the money goes that people donate here in the community and how we help change people's lives. It's really kind of amazing to be on this end of it, and to be, because I've worked in nonprofit or government section my whole life pretty much, and to be able to see a bigger view of all the different pieces that are playing into what helps the community and helps the citizens of this community has been really interesting. So if anybody wants a glimpse of that, please contact me. Again, my number is 615-780-2511.
I'll say this, I went through the process last time. If you have an interest in not only United Way work, but nonprofit work in general, and how the community is being served and how each nonprofit is kind of connected, and how we're working to make sure that there's not overlap or make sure everybody's like pushing in the same direction, it's a great opportunity to really get a good snapshot and get a good feel. And my favorite part of the process was talking to all the different nonprofits that we partner with and hearing about their work and hearing their goals and what they wanted to do, and some of the things that they were already doing, but some of the things they would like to do. And it just gave me a better understanding of all the work that was going on, because I think a lot of people, they don't realize, they hear about a nonprofit, it's like, oh yeah, they do something, or they may not even be aware of what they do. But to really talk to them and understand the work that's being put in and how much work is being put in to make sure that they're serving their communities, it's a good understanding. It's like 20 hours sounds like a lot, but it's over a couple of months. Yeah. It's not, I promise you, if I was able to do it, it's not hard. It's not a hard lift. You do have to use your mind a little bit, but it's not a hard lift. And it's really impactful to make sure that every dollar that's donated in this community is being applied in the best way possible. So it's a really good opportunity.
And, I think back at some of my jobs that I've had, and most of my most rewarding jobs were volunteer jobs, or started out as volunteers. So if there's some people that, you're thinking you want to get in, to work at a nonprofit, but you want to get a good sampling of what they do, this is great. Great access to, help out at the same time, while also kind of surveying what, might be the best fit for you. And so I always like to encourage people to volunteer, because I'm from a big volunteer family, and I really would love to see families, for the new year, make that a goal. Have every family like, okay, who are we going to be volunteering for this next 6 months or whatever, whether it be my father's house or, Open Door, because there's always a need, and, we need to train the youngins, because it seems to be a lost art with, today. I mean, there used to be a lot more volunteers. I know that a lot of the service clubs are saying the same thing, is, there's just not as many volunteers out there today as there used to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to stay home and watch Netflix. I'm going to be honest,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that my family is really focused on quite a bit, is going out. And so if you're also looking, my kids were really little, I really struggled finding a place that would allow your children to come with you to volunteer. And so that's kind of been a little bit of my focus. Is like making sure that we can get whole families involved. And so if you are wanting to get your kids more involved as a whole family, or even, your teenagers involved, again, please contact me. I will find a place for them to plug in. I do have quite a few parents that contact me about Tennessee Promise hours and stuff. And usually my first question is, well, what are you passionate about? Because whatever you love, there is a place for you to plug in volunteer wise. There really are so many opportunities. And another new opportunity we have come up. Oh, sorry. Did I cut you off?
No.
Okay. I just want to make sure we get put in. CASA is starting their new advocacy training class in February 26th, 8th, something like that. I can look it up, but to February 28th. So last day of the month in February, that's when the new advocacy class starts. And I've gone through the class twice. It is an amazing thing. If you want to even just like learn how to become a better advocate, it's a great place to start. It is a 30-hour training, so it is pretty intense. What you learn how to advocate for children that are in foster care, that have been deemed to be neglected by the foster care system. And so it's a great place to plug in. We have quite a few advocates now. The advocates in Robertson County have grown quite a bit, but we still have so many kids that don't have a dedicated advocate that advocates for them in the court system. And those kids, quite frankly, often fall through the cracks. There's just so much turnover with DCS, and so many things that can make that the kids can fall through the cracks. And I have just watched in amazement as I might have gotten more familiar with the CASA as I worked for CASA before I worked for United Way, and just watching the way that these kids don't fall through the cracks, how there's somebody there to make sure that they don't get lost in the system. And so if that's something that pulls on your heart at all, I'm one of those people who would love to be a foster parent, but I got a lot of my own kids and I don't have any more capacity that way. So getting involved with CASA has kind of really helped me to feel like I'm making some kind of a difference in the child welfare crisis that we're in.
All right. All right, so we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. What else do you guys want to
We're
cover?
kind of in a, from the fundraising side, we are beginning our new year, but we're still kind of in wrap-up mode. So our busiest time of year is September, October, November, a little bit into December. And so right now we're just kind of making sure that we're wrapping up everything from the prior year to make sure that all the details are right and all the money's right and everything is done correctly on our end so that it's reported out correctly. And so that's kind of the mode we'll be in for the next month or so. And then we'll really go into planning mode for 23 as far as new campaign ideas and trying to get some new companies involved and all that. So really it's just the cycle will start back up pretty quickly. But it is a little bit of a chance to catch your breath just a touch after a busy fall and into the winter. But we do want to take time to just thank all of our partners throughout the year that were just amazing to us. And we've had so many longtime partners with their campaigns and individual donors and folks that have helped out in so many different ways that enable us to do what we've done. And so it's a little bit of a time of just appreciation as well. Just another 22 is a great year. Like I said, for the first time since the pandemic, we had in-person campaign kickoffs and events and all the stuff that we love to do at the United Way. We're a people business, and not being able to be together was really difficult for us as a nonprofit. But just I think overall for our companies too, it was difficult. They look forward to the campaign activities that we do and being together and having the lunches and the little competitive things and the little trivia contests, all the stuff that they do during a campaign week. And so I was able to attend a lot of that this year for the first time, and it was just really cool to see our companies working together to work towards our goal. And so we're just thankful for them, and we'll take a little bit of a breath here and make sure all of our numbers are correct, and then we'll get started again for 23 and start talking about 23 campaign. But we just want to take a little bit of time right now to just say thank you for 22 because it was an amazing year and kind of felt like the first normal-ish year since 2020 that we've had as far as getting out, seeing people and just seeing everybody work together to try to reach our goal here in every way. So we're so thankful for our corporate partners. Yeah.
We have a Hero of the Week.
We will. That's who they're going to be then. So now that you say that, just all of our corporate partners that have worked with us for years, and also again, and I've said this before, but working with us during that times where it would have been very easy to say, we got this pandemic, we're working remotely, all these different excuses you could have used. Instead, so many of them stuck with us, continued to run campaigns, whether we had to do it virtually or be creative in the ways we had to do it. So to get back to do it the way we want to do it and be together, which is the key thing, and have service projects and be able to like boots on the ground type stuff. That's what and I think for 23, that's going to be a goal of mine, is to incorporate more of our corporate partners into some volunteer activities like we were planning on doing before everything shut down, and really get them involved with our partner agencies again. And because I think the giving part is fantastic. We need it. It's kind of the lifeblood of what we do as an organization to fundraise. But having them actually get involved with our partner agencies and see the work that's being done and really get their hands dirty a little bit, I think that's really where you get the payoff. And to your point with some of the younger workforce, I think they want that. But I think they want that opportunity presented to them in different ways. So it's not cookie cutter for them. They want different approaches, and then they're going to latch on to what they latch on to. And so I'm saying this as an old person, but I believe that's kind of what I've gleaned, is they want different opportunities. And so we're going to work hard to provide those in 23 and get them out in the community and get their hands dirty and see what the work that's being done. But just thank you to all of our corporate partners for a great 22. We were very, very blessed this year, and hopefully for even better 23.
Well, and also really serves those corporations as far as we love it to see how they help the partners, with financially or with physical labor, but to create a community or a culture in your company of giving back really helps bond your workforce and creates opportunities to team build. Without it being some cheesy trust fall thing that we've all done a million times, team building through these service opportunities, team building through, that's the greatest thing about United Way, is taking everybody's little bit and putting it in a big pot to make a big difference. And so, you don't have to be, Bill Gates to be able to donate $1 million. You just, you donate your whatever little bit you have, your widow's mite even. But when you combine it with the force of United Way, it really can create something big, and you can do that in your workspace. So even if you're not some giant corporation, reach out to Brian and be like, how can we get involved? How can we give back to our community through, even if you're a small business, we've got opportunities for everybody.
We can work with you in whatever way. My number is 615-780-2401, 615-780-2401. Love to talk with you. A lot of people, to what Tiffany's point, say, we only have 3 employees. We cannot. We can work with you on that to do something. It's not only going to benefit the community, but it's going to benefit your workforce and really get them to. I think people want to work for someone that is supporting their community. It's going to make them feel better about where they work. And the statistics have proven it as far as turnover rates and people sticking with companies that are community minded and do have a community focus. There's a much lower turnover rate with those companies because people were like, I work for a good company, and they feel good about that and they take pride in that. And so, yeah, there's a purpose, and we can help with that as well. And so we love to talk to you. And if nothing happens from it and it's not a fit, or maybe there's a fit somewhere else, we're fine. We're just happy the opportunity to educate and talk about what we're doing. And then maybe one person out of that group it latches onto us a little bit, and then that's a success. So if you want to talk, 615-780-2401.
Now, do you know if Open Door is back up now that the New Year's and everything is over?
I don't know. I know they usually close the week between Christmas and New Year's. Open Door is actually not one of our partners, but we support them as much as we possibly can because they're a great company. Yeah. But I'm not as familiar with their day-to-day operation. But we love what they do.
Yeah, Sean's awesome. Yeah, they provide a great service. I've got a first-hand testimonial that I've seen with a family that I'm working with, and they've been fantastic to them. So we love what they do. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are out of time. I do thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah.
Good job. You're getting more polished. I can tell. Yeah. So Laverne better watch out.
I think you guys might have been my first one for One Street Over that I did a long time ago. I think it was because I was like, okay, good. At least I know them.
Yeah, it's cool. You're doing great.
All right. We've been in studio with Brian Pulley and Tiffany Thomson from United Way. And Laverne will be back. U-Turn Laverne will be back tomorrow for Faith Friday. You've been listening to 1100 WSGI. This has been Lee Marie. I will see you tomorrow for the Wild Doc on The Go Show. Take care.